All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 68 of Faith, Fitness, Joy. Today is wonderful Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. I am so grateful to be back this week after being sick and then traveling. So it's been a bit, and I'm a little bit later than I like to be for our monthly channel guidance, but here we are. So today for you, I'm going to be doing our channel guidance for the month of November. So I'm going to be reading from my Kyle Gray Angel Prayer Cards for you today. And I am also going to be pulling some Spiritual Awakening cards from that deck. And so this is the deck of all of the universal laws. So we're going to find out what universal laws are going to be at play for us in the month of November. All right, so without further ado, and before we jump right in, I like to start these with a few deep breaths, and it's just a good time if you haven't taken a few deep breaths today to do that. So why don't you just join me for a second? If you feel welcome to, if you feel called to, go ahead and put your one hand on your heart and put another hand over your lower abdomen and just breathe in deeply to a count of 4. Hold it at the top. Breathe out slowly to a count of 4. Breathe in again. Hold at the top. And breathe out. One more deep breath in. Hold at the top. And breathe out. I'm just going to start by saying thank you, Father in heaven, for all the listeners of this podcast and for everyone joining today, whether it is on November 8th or at a different time. Just know that when you find this, it is also finding you, and the message is timely, as everything is always in divine timing. And thank you, God, for joining us here today and for providing channel guidance for us for the month of November. And as I start to pull cards here to find out what the month of November is, what we're transitioning out of from October, what we're moving into in terms of what's coming in the month of November, the types of things that are kind of going to be at the top of mind for us, and what are the challenges and opportunities ahead of us in the month of November. So as I'm pulling the rest of the cards for that, why don't you take a second or 2 or 3 and just think about and reflect on what you're grateful for from October. What was good in October? What happened in October that you're thankful for? What do you want to express gratitude for? And I would challenge you to think of as many things as you possibly can, and even some things that maybe on the surface might not seem like they were so great, but perhaps you learned something from them. Perhaps they stretched you in a way. Perhaps you faced some challenges that helped you grow. So it's always good to reflect on where we've been, what we're coming out of, and to always be in a state of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude is really the key to everything. Because what we express gratitude for, we get more of, right? And there's another saying, where attention goes, energy flows. So where we focus our mind and our thoughts, that's the kind of energy that we're putting out. And it's also the kind of energy that we're bringing back in. So if you're spending your time complaining or worrying or feeling anxious and fearful and stressed and all these kinds of things, and no judgment because I'm totally guilty of doing this myself, but if that's how you are spending your thoughts and time and energy, that's what you're going to bring more of to yourself, right? Versus if you find gratitude all day, every day, and focus on what's good, focus on what's positive, that's what's going to come back to you, and that's what you're going to get more of. Even things as simple as finding a parking space easily. Like, take a second and I always say something like, thank you for that ease. Thank you so much for finding a parking space easily. Just all these little things like that. And then you get more of that. Okay, so let's see what our first three cards are, what our three cards, our angel cards are for the month of November. Okay, so the first card is all about kind of what we are transitioning from. So this is maybe where we've been focusing in the recent weeks, perhaps in the month of October, and what we're starting to shift our focus away from. Perhaps these are lessons that we've already moved through, or perhaps mastered, or at least mastered enough that we're kind of shifting away from that in the weeks ahead. So the first card is Archangel Jophiel, honor your beauty. This is such a pretty card. So, okay. Let me take a second and just see what I'm getting from Archangel Jophiel. Okay, so she's saying, just having been through a time of really learning to appreciate ourselves, learning to appreciate who you are and the beauty that you hold within yourself, and also your physical beauty, your physical appearance. Learning to accept all of yourself. Says, thank you, Jophiel, for helping me discover my inner and outer beauty. So for a lot of us, the month of October, that might have been something that I know it was true for me, really being focused on learning to love yourself completely and unconditionally, and really an emphasis on loving ourselves the way that God loves us. I think so many of us are, have a tendency to be self-critical. Many of us might find ourselves kind of, in that comparison trap where you might look at someone else, compare yourself to them, or think, they've got it together, or they look this way or that way, and I don't look like that, or whatever it is. I think we've all been there in some way. And so October was really emphatic on shifting that and changing that. And I know for myself, over the month of October, this is something that my spirit team was really guiding me towards. I know this was, some of the messages that I was getting daily from God, to really learn to love and accept myself completely, and just honoring every aspect of myself, appreciating every aspect of myself, and loving me the way God loves us, right? So for many of you, that is what you have also been moving through in these recent weeks, over the last month. And I'm getting like having made a lot of great strides in this area. And I'm hearing to keep that momentum. So even though we're moving into a new month and our focus may be shifting and changing to something different, it's not that we don't continue to do these practices that we may have been picking up in the month of October to really heighten our self-love and loving every aspect of yourself unconditionally, your physical self and the inner parts of you as well. So that is the first card for November. And so our second card, so this is going to be what our focus coming into November is: healthy choices. So this can mean a whole bunch of things. So let me just take a second and see what I'm starting to get right away. So the first thing I'm getting that we are being called to focus on is our spiritual health. Okay, I'm hearing all of our health, right? Our whole health of our mind, body, and soul, but there's an emphasis to prioritize our spiritual health first this month. And actually, I'm getting like that really should always be our priority. Connecting to God, connecting to the higher self, which is your soul, right? So I'm getting the importance of reaching up. So if you look at the card, for those of you that are tuning into this on YouTube and see the video version, you can see all of this light coming down over her and how her hands are up above her head. So my team is drawing my attention to her hands and how the light is really glowing from behind her hands. And so I'm getting just the importance of leaning on God and reaching up and connecting to God every day. And we do that in meditation. You don't have to go anywhere special to be with God. He's inside of you. He's with you all the time. He lives within you. And so all you need to do is turn your attention inward, go into meditation. I'm hearing morning, noon, and night. So really challenge yourselves this month to meditate at least 3 times a day. Again, this does not have to be, hours of meditation. This is, this can be 5 minutes. It can be a few minutes if that's all you can find. Get up 5 minutes earlier. Get up 10 minutes earlier if that's what you need to get your coffee or whatever you do in the morning, get yourself going and take that 5 minutes of quiet. Keep breathing. Now, if you're new to meditation, just focus on spending 5 minutes working on quieting your mind and breathing deeply. A good way to shut your brain up is to start off with taking a couple deep breaths and then saying to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. That's a great way to shut your brain up. You'll see what I mean. So if you maybe are more familiar with meditation, then I would invite you to start your morning with meditation, but add what I call the pillar of light. So this is just imagining a bright white light coming down from above and coming down through your whole body, going into the ground, and then breathing light back up from your hips up to the crown of your head. And imagine it going all the way up into the heavens and connecting to God. I do this every morning, and that is how I connect to God every morning. So that is a great practice to add in the morning. And then just take some deep breaths and just invite God to give you guidance. Ask God, what is your guidance for me for today? How can I be of service today? How can I, what can I do today to get closer to my goals? Or, whatever your kind of question might be. And then just breathe in and allow whatever comes through to come through. And this can be, you might get images, you might hear a word, you might hear a few words. A memory might pop up for you that reminds you of something that God may use as a way to give you guidance. So just be open to whatever it is. So that's the first thing, is focusing on spiritual health. I'm also getting something about mental clarity. So I'm hearing to clear the clutter in your mind. Maybe you've got too many things going on. Maybe you're trying to do too many things, or maybe you're thinking about too many different things. Maybe you have too many thoughts that aren't serving you, right? Maybe you're feeling doubtful about things, or maybe you're playing the negative what if game a little bit, or whatever it is. There's some clutter in the mind. And so the other thing we're being invited to do this month is to be mindful of our thoughts and clear the clutter in our mind and keep our minds, I'm hearing, keep our minds focused on our goals. Now, I usually have two really big, big picture, almost kind of scary goals that I have for myself, right? And these are kind of longer term goals. And then I have a few shorter term goals for each of those that I'm focusing on at a given point in time, right? So like right now, there are some things I'm getting ready to launch and put out. So I have goals around that that I'm focused on right now. So if you don't have a couple of clear goals, the first thing I would invite you to do is to get really clear on 1 to 2 big goals. I would not set more than that, because then you're going to get, you get into overwhelm. But set 1 or 2 really important, really big goals for yourself and focus on those. Memorize them, and keep them at the forefront of your mind. If you have to write them down and carry them with you and read them often, I do that. I recite mine. You can put them on Post-its everywhere in where you're typically, seeing them, like by your computer, in your car, in the mirror in your bathroom, whatever. So that's the other element. And then the third element is to take care of the body, right? Nourish your body with good food, healthy food. Get the junk out of your diet as much as you can. Yes, we have Thanksgiving coming up. That's not to say you don't enjoy Thanksgiving with your family, but for the most part, you want to be taking care of your body, moving your body with exercise, and nourishing the body from within, nourishing your body with good food, as in good nutrition and hydration. So you want to be getting most of your fluids from water. I'm also hearing fruit. Like eat your water. I'm hearing eat your water, which is through fruit. Yeah, the emphasis is really on loving yourself through how you feel your body. It's not about like trying to lose weight. This is more about caring for your body and giving it what it needs to fuel or to function at its best. Vegetables and fruit in particular should make up the majority of what you're eating. Lean protein, water. And I'm hearing Daniel. So he's talking about, the way Daniel ate. If you read the book of Daniel, there's a part where him and his friends were invited to eat the king's food, and they chose to fast instead, so they didn't partake in the drink and the meats, and they just ate fruit and vegetables pretty much. And then if you're familiar with the Daniel fast, you might want to look that up. That's a good thing to do just for your health. But I'm getting that he's mentioning Daniel and the Daniel fast because of what it does for the body. Like all of those vegetables, fruit, whole grain. It's like a detoxification, but it's also, all the vitamins and nutrients that you get from eating fresh vegetables and fruits. So that is the second card, and what we're really being called to do in the month of November, and that's healthy choices. Focusing on the health of our mind, our body, and our soul. And the last card, okay, so this is the card for challenges and opportunities. And so this card is focus your mind. Thank you, angels, for helping me focus on my priorities. Okay, so this is going to be the challenge and the opportunity this month. I'm sure many of you can appreciate and resonate with this, where we have goals, or we have things we want to do, or things we think are important to do, and we can often get into this franticness of like trying to do all the things. And then a lot of times, especially with business, like you end up trying to do all this stuff that's not necessarily important or really helping you. I know I definitely fall into this trap a lot with my business. Like I'll start off with like, okay, I want to get X, Y, and Z done this week. And then I'll go down these little rabbit holes as I start to work on something. And then it's like, oh yeah, I need to do that too. And then I go, trying to go do whatever that is. And half the time I have to try to figure out how to do it myself because a lot of things I'm learning. And next thing you know, the week's over and you've gotten a fraction of what you want to get done, right? So this card is really all about focusing your mind and focusing our efforts on our priorities. So being organized with how we want to spend our time, having a plan. It's really helpful to have like a schedule for yourself so you know what you're doing each day, what your big priorities are for every day. So start off with your big priorities for the week and then go from there. So in order to get those big priorities done, what are the major tasks that you need to do? And that is where you focus your time and attention. Okay, and so I'm getting like, this is the challenge and opportunity card, right? So that means that things are going to come up, like we're going to be challenged around this. So there's going to be distractions that are going to pop up. There's going to be things that are going to come up to like try to distract you or send you off on another path. Do not allow those things to do that. Stay focused on your priorities, stay focused on what you've said that you're going to do and what you're going to accomplish, and focus your attention, focus your energy on those things. I'm also getting something about all these other distractions in life, right? Like, um, they're showing me things like TV, movies, scrolling social media, just all these ways that we kind of waste our time, right? Like, if we're being honest, like, I mean, if you really think about it, yeah, it's nice to sit down sometimes and unwind with like a movie or something like that, or scrolling social media, but it's a waste of time, right? Like it's not doing anything for you except making you think that you're unwinding, but you're not really accomplishing much. So instead of spending your time that way, how can you spend your quote downtime towards your goals? Maybe it's listening to a book, like a self-help book or a book about whatever you're working towards. And if you don't like listening to books, maybe it's buying that book and reading it. Um, it could be watching some trainings, right? There's a couple things that I'm working through, and that's how I've been spending my evenings. My kids are doing their thing, whether they're drawing in their art books or whether they're playing their video games. And I am watching my trainings on my laptop while they're doing that. So, um, you know, finding ways to use your downtime to also focus your energy and your attention on what your goals are, where you want to direct your energy, um, and what you're feeding your head. So those are the three angel cards for the month of November. So I'm going to shift gears to see what the universal laws are that are going to come into play in the month of November. So as I'm doing that, let's see. So what universal laws are we going to what are the universal laws that will be most predominant this month in November? What universal laws are going to be at play in November? So let's see what we get. So as I'm shuffling the cards, think about what your goals are. You already have a couple of big goals that you're working towards. And if you do, then what goals might you want to set for yourself for November to get you closer to those bigger goals? How do you want to spend the month of November? What do you want to accomplish this month? What do you want to be able to say at the end of November? Right? All right, got one more card. Let's see what we get. Alrighty. First universal law for November, the law of perception. The law of perception. Let's see. Look beyond the illusion to one truth. All right, so this is all about looking past the surface, and it's all about perspective. It's all about, which stems from your mindset, right? Whatever your dominant thought paradigm is going to color what you see and how you perceive reality and the world around you. So this month, we're being called to kind of take a look at that. And it's so interesting because I had a post earlier this morning about mindset that just kind of came to me when I was working out. And that's kind of what this is saying. You know, it's like it's taking stock of your dominant thought paradigm. And I've done a few different episodes of the podcast around this. So if you want to check those out, they're really helpful for helping you do that. But some quick nutshell tips for you around that is to start paying attention to how you talk to yourself. Start paying attention to what your inner dialogue is. And when you look in the mirror, what tends to be the first few things that come to mind that you think about yourself? What kinds of things trigger you when you're in a social interaction with people? What types of feelings come up? What's another good one? Do you tend to have positive or negative reactions to things that happen to you? Do you tend to see things as happening to you or happening for you? So start paying attention to where you're at right now and what your kind of dominant thought paradigm is right now. That's going to start to help you to see where you might want to shift it and where you might need to make some changes. And again, no judgment. This is not about, everybody's in a different place. We all start somewhere, and no matter where you are, there's probably room for improvement, right? So just take stock of it and start to look at that and see where you can shift your mindset, because that's going to shift your perception. And I'm getting something about like the goal is to get to the state where your go-to perception, your natural reaction or belief system, if you will, is that everything is working for you. Things are happening for you. They're not happening to you. That's what you want to shift towards in this month. Start focusing on that. Okay, so the next universal law, the law of time. The law of time is our second universal law for November. You have the ability to bend time with the power of perception. Isn't that interesting? So, yes, oh my gosh. Okay, so right away I'm getting quantum leaping. Okay, this is about how to quantum leap. So how do you quantum leap? It's also thought of and it's also described as skipping timelines or shortening timelines, jumping timelines, fast forwarding things. Okay, so let's say hypothetically, you want to manifest $10,000 this month. Okay, let's just say that's what you're doing. But you want to bring in that amount of money, and that's all you know. Okay, so how can you skip timelines? Well, in addition to all the other kind of basics of manifestation, which is like, first, you need to be really clear on the amount. Second, you need to be really clear about what are you going to do with that money? What's it for? Not bills, not debt, whatever. You don't want to go there. You want to, like, what are you going to do with that money? What do you desire? Maybe it's so your kids can have an awesome Christmas, and maybe you want to focus on like them opening their presents and how excited they're going to be and how amazing it's going to be to see them excited with their gifts or whatever it is, right? But the idea is you want to get clear on what you're desiring the money for. Is it for a new purse? Is it for a car? Is it for, like, what is the thing that you really want to be able to do with the money? Not bills, not obligations, but something that you can feel excited or what, something positive about. Okay, so those are kind of the basics of the manifestation. um Getting clear on what it is, the desire itself, and then like the visualization around it and feeling the feelings of it. Okay, so once, like, all of that aside, you skip timelines by embodying the version of you that already has it. So let's say you're manifesting $10,000. The first thing you have to do is get into belief that it's already done. It's already yours. That money's already in your account. It's guaranteed. You've got the account. Pretend that that money has been deposited. So what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be sitting there thinking about, how am I going to get that $10,000? Or are you going to be sitting there thinking about, like, oh, when is that $10,000 going to come? No, right? Because you already got it. So you're not going to be thinking about that. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to go get a pedicure, or maybe you're going to go spend a leisurely day. Maybe you're going to go shopping. Maybe you're just going to be relaxed and you're not even going to be stressed anymore because that $10,000 is already there. Maybe you're going to walk a little with a pep in your step, right? Because that money is in the bank account, right? So it's those little things that you want to start doing to embody the version of you that's already got that money. So that's how you skip timelines. And that is why it's so interesting that we get this card with the law of perception card, because it's a mind thing. It's a belief thing. So these two things are going to be really important, and they go hand in hand with each other. You can't jump timelines if you don't believe that it's there, if you don't believe that it's available for you, if you don't believe it can happen for you, if your perception is that things happen to you and not happening for you, if your perception is that that could never happen to me, then you're going to be right, right? But if your perception is things are always working out for me, money always comes to me, money's flowing to me effortlessly and easily every day, then you've got the perception there. So now it's a matter of, what can I do to speed up the timeline? What can I do to embody the version of me that already has that? That's how you speed up time. And the last universal law for the month of November is the law of healing. Transform your trauma, transform your life. Oh my goodness, the way these cards are coming together is incredible. So the law of healing. So I talk about this a lot too. I've done a couple of different episodes about this. I would highly recommend, because this is way too much to get in this episode, but I would highly recommend checking out, I believe it's number 14, episode 14, which is 7 steps for healing triggers, emotional triggers. 7 steps for healing emotional triggers. So check out that episode. That is a great episode for working through a framework for healing. And it's in particular, it's really focusing on how you can alchemize, transform your trauma. How do you take these past hurts and traumas, which we then turn into limiting beliefs? We turn them into lies and truths about ourselves, right? I've done this myself. I've talked about this in previous episodes, where some of my trauma was from years of being physically and verbally bullied when I was in elementary school to early high school. And all of that turned into limiting beliefs that I was, I was a victim, I was disgusting, I was unlovable, I was unworthy. Like that, I turned it into all of these limiting beliefs that over the years, they were just my paradigm. were my truth. They were so real to me that I didn't even know they were limiting beliefs, that they were lies. I thought they were truths. Like that's how I lived. I didn't know better. I didn't know there was a different way. Then I learned about alchemizing them and transforming those limiting beliefs and traumas into um, affirmations and new beliefs that were working for me and helping me get forward. So that is going to be really important this month. And I think it makes sense. This is the time of year that a lot of that shit comes back up for us. We tend to find ourselves in these times of reflection in this season of the year. We're coming up on the end of the year. We're coming up on a time where, a lot of families are getting together, and that can be a mix for some of us, even if you still get together with your family, it can still bring up stuff that maybe isn't pleasant. And if you don't get together with your family this time of year, that can also bring stuff up, right? So this is a season where a lot of us are kind of being confronted with a lot of these things. So the universal law, the last card for this month, is the law of healing, and really looking at, instead of letting that like kind of put you in a bad place or um, bring you down into the kind of negative emotions of those past traumas and hurts, how can you turn that around? How can you flip the script? How can you take those stories and rewrite them for for your benefit and make it work for you? Because you can turn that shit into gold. You can. It's not easy, but you can do it. So those are the universal laws that are going to come into play this month. If you want to go deeper into some of these things, like I said, I've got podcast episodes around all of those topics. So check out some of the other episodes if that's something you want some more information on. And with that, I'm going to sign off for this episode and wish you all a blessed and beautiful November. And thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'll see you in the next episode.